Hello and welcome to part 3 of the UAP Customers webinar series on locks and cylinders for uPVC doors. So let's start with a refresher. Here we have a lock, which is the mechanism for keeping a door fastened. This is a single point lock. So multi-point locks, sometimes known as an espag or an espagnolet, is the mechanism for keeping the door fastened, and it has multi-points along the frame, making it more secure. So how do you operate a multi-point lock in a uPVC door? So to unlock the door, or to lock, close the door, lift the lever handle upwards to the full extent of travel and turn the key or the thumb turn, and we'll have a look at those later. And to unlock, turn that key or thumb turn, push the handle fully downwards to the full extent of travel and open the door. So how does that differ with the auto lock? Well, to lock and close the door, you just close it and turn the key or the thumb turn. And to unlock, you just turn the key or the thumb turn and depress the handle to the full extent of travel and open the door. So what is that auto lock and why would you use one? Sometimes they're called a slam lock. Well, the auto lock automatically engages those upper and lower locking points when the door is closed, removing that necessity to lift the handle. And this works because there's a trigger in an actuator which is depressed by a plate on the frame, and that drives the top and bottom bolts or hooks into their extended position. You would use an auto lock to hold the door leaf in a frame at all times when the door is closed, sometimes on something like a fire door, and we'll look at these in more detail in the fire door module. So this image is of a bolt, which is the locking point that extends from the door into the frame and holds it closed. And this image is of a hook, so a locking point that extends from the door into the frame to hold it closed. And it differs from the bolt because it's hook-shaped rather than being straight. Here we have an image of the center case of the lock. So this is the central part of the multi-lock or the multi-point lock, which contains the operating mechanism. The spindle goes through it and the cylinder. So here we have the locking point, which is part of the lock, and it secures the door to the frame. Sometimes it's called a keep or a receiver, which is the other part on the image. And this part is fitted to the door frame. So this receives or keeps the locking point within that frame. Here we have a latch. So this is part of the lock that secures the door in that closed position, but the latch doesn't lock it. So it's not necessarily locked, just secured in a closed position. So the UAP locks that are suitable for the uPVC doors are the crime beater, the XL crime beater, and we have a crime beater 220 Pro. So the ordinary crime beater locks are available in a 35mm, 45mm and 55mm back set variation. And they're available with steel or stainless steel, aluminium or uPVC faceplates. And the center case has a latch and a deadbolt and dual spindles. And the top and bottom locking points could either be the bolts or the hooks. The hooks both travel downwards, and this is the only variant of lock that's available with a slam locking option. And different types of keeps are available for a crime beater. So then we move on to the XL crime beater, which is available in 35mm and 45mm back sets. And they are available with steel and uPVC faceplates. So the center case has a latch and a hook and a dual spindle, and the top and bottom locking points can either be bolts or hooks, and they are hooks that travel in opposing directions. And there are also several types of keep available for this lock type with hooks and bolts. And still on this slide, we have the crime beater 220 Pro, and that lock is only available in a 45mm back set with a steel faceplate. The center case on this one has a latch and a deadbolt, and the top and bottom locking points are hooks that travel in opposing directions again. And this has a dedicated set of keeps. As discussed in episode 2, we have 2 bolt options. So there are linear bolts, which have more flexibility and a wider installation tolerance than a hook bolt and have a very smooth lock-in action. But hook bolt options are often perceived as being more secure than linear bolts, which can be true for a flexible uPVC door. And hook bolts can make the door installation a bit more challenging because there are less flexibility and they require very accurate alignment with the frame keeps. So the cylinder, a lot of people refer to this as a lock, but it's the barrel in the door or a cylinder. And this is the device in which you insert your key. So it's primarily used as a locking medium to operate a lock case with maybe a euro-shaped hole. So the euro profile, or the euro-shaped hole I talked about, denotes the shape of the cylinder. These are predominantly used in multi-point locks, and other cylinder styles are round or oval in shape. This image has a cylinder guard. So this is an additional device that wraps around that cylinder to provide additional protection against attack. And on the screen here, you can see a cylinder in which a key can be used internally and externally. So this cylinder is called a key cylinder. And then this image shows a thumb turn cylinder. So it has key externally for operation, and internally it has a knob to operate. These are commonly used on doors that are fitted to apartments or maybe fire doors. Anywhere where you need to escape quite quickly without the key on the inside, you would have the thumb turn. So keyed alike, what does this mean? This enables you to use the same key for 2 or more cylinders instead of requiring different keys. So, for instance, you could have the same key for a pair of cylinders put into, a set of double doors, or you could have your keys keyed alike for your front and back doors, so you're only carrying one key. And then we move on to what's called a master keyed cylinder. So a master key system means it's very possible for people who are authorized to access different doors within a system just to have one key. So for example, a tenant in a sheltered accommodation has a key to their own individual flat door, and it won't open any other lock in the building. But the caretaker could have a master key, which operates all the locks in the building. This means they only need to carry one key in order to access the whole site. Now here in this image, you can see the what is called an edge band or a wraparound faceplate. So underneath it will be the lock, and this makes the edge of the door much neater. And we've talked in previous sessions and earlier on about the spindle. So this is the square metal bar that passes through the door, through that lock, through that center case, connecting the handles together, therefore operating that locking mechanism. So a lock with a solid spindle is operated from inside and outside by use of the lever handle once the cylinder has been operated. And the split spindle would require you to use the key once again to retract that latch from the external side, but the operation internally is the same as the solid spindle. So the benefit of this split spindle is that nobody can walk into the property without using the key. So finally, we're going to look at the escutcheon, and this is just a protective or ornamental plate used around the keyhole or the handle to make it look more effective. So we've come to the end of the series on uPVC doors. Many thanks for watching this series, and have a look out for the next UAP customer webinar topic, which will be on timber doors.